Hello and welcome to this webinar that we at Ignite arranged together with the Swedish Energy Agency with the topic Verify Your Innovation with Potential Customers. And my name is Linus Arnold, and I'm a Director of Development Project at Ignite, and I will be the moderator for this event. The agenda for today looks like this. I will make a short introduction to Ignite, but also the background of this project that we have with the Energy Agency. I will then let Energy Agency present their part about their different funding opportunities. And then I will also welcome Fredrik Van Heinen from Neue that will present an actual project that they have today with funding from the Energy Agency. And then in the end, I will also discuss a little bit about the support that we can provide both startups and corporate and public sector within this project during the upcoming months. So if you have questions, just write them in the chat. It will also be time for discussion after each presentation. The presentation that we show today will be also shared afterwards, everyone that signed up for the event. To start off with then, just shortly, I think many of you already know what we Ignite do and what our mission is, but just to remember we are a non-profit organization that have a mission to foster innovation through connecting startups and scale-up with public and private organizations. And we've been around since 2017. And the reason we started was that we identified a problem in our ecosystem for incubators and startups to actually get the right connections to corporates and public sector. So instead of every incubator doing this by themselves for their own startups, Ignite does this for all Swedish startups. So we're building relationships with corporates and with the public sector and trying to open the door to commercial collaborations. We are founded by the member organization Swedish Incubators and Science Parks. And we have funding from both Innova, the Swedish Energy Agency, and the private and public sector. So this is actually our results so far from our operations. We have since 2017 arranged 90 matchmaking events where we have connected 1,429 unique startups with almost 300 corporates and 44 public organizations. That sums up to over 6,300 meetings. And what makes us most proud is that over 50% of these initial meetings leads to continuation with more discussions between the parties. And what we know so far, we have over 450 commercial deals, collaborations that have come from this process that we have. And here you can see some examples of the organizations that we have been working with at Ignite. So it's both, I know in this session we have companies from both Brazil and Italy attending. So very happy to have you here as well. So our core process at Ignite is this what you can see here, that we activate the need owners. We make sure that they have the right mandate and budget to work with startups. We do need assessment together, and then we at Ignite scout for suitable startups. We suggest a list of 20 startups to the need owner. Then they can then select up to 7 that they can meet during one of our matchmaking events. We then do follow-ups after the matchmaking event to make sure that everything can go smoothly ahead to a pilot, where we then also can be part of the evaluation and help to setting that up in a good way. What we also do at Ignite, and I don't know if everyone knows that, is that we are running a lot of projects as well, development projects. And it's because we want to explore new or improved ways for startups to land commercial partnerships. This could be done, we have done projects in the past focusing on how startups can help municipalities to solve their climate-related issues, challenges through system innovation, how we can connect different startups together, that they can bring a solution to the table that is more effective than what they could do separately. As one example. But we're also trying to unlock the potential of the public affair, the public business opportunities, and see how we can do that. So we do different types of projects together with different ecosystem actors in order to open up new ways for startups. So this is what this seminar is also about. It's a project that we have together with the Swedish Energy Agency. And they will present just after this presentation about the different funding opportunities that they have. And one of them is where you as a startup could get funding if you have an innovation that is within climate tech with energy relevance, to get funding for actually test your innovation together with a potential customer. And this is very well aligned with our core process. But now in this project, we are looking at how we can combine, how we at Ignite can actually use our core processes and the activities that we already are doing to see how we can support both the startup and the partner in this case, from the first meeting to actually finalize an application for this funding opportunity. And the overall goal with this project is to, of course, increase the awareness about this funding opportunity, but also reduce the lead time. What we have seen in Ignite is it takes about 6 to 9 months before a first meeting until we have a pilot that is up and running. And we think that that could be reduced. There are a lot of different reasons, everything from timing to internal alignment to legal frameworks that need to be in place before we can get a pilot over the line. But we think that we can actually together with the Swedish Energy Agency, trying to squeeze this time frame a bit and reduce the lead times. And also, of course, we want to increase the quality of the applications that are sent into the agency. But the overall aim for us at Ignite is, of course, to get more funding to impact startups that can make a difference. And we have a project time for this is from August now this year to March next year. And I will come back in the end of the seminar to reveal a little bit more about how we can provide you with different kind of support. But with that said, I think I should hand over to the Swedish Energy Agency. And right after their presentation, we will have Fredrik van Heinen from Neue that will present their projects that they are running at the moment. First of all, do we have any more questions straight off regarding Ignite or the project? No, Justin, if you have more questions, I mean, it is easy to send them in the chat. With that said, I will stop sharing and then I will hand over to Sarah and Ida for the presentation.
Thank you, Linus.
Thank you, Linus.
Start to share our presentation.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Sara Seder, and together with my colleague Ida Norén, I will tell you about some of the funding possibilities from the Swedish Energy Agency. With us today from the agency, we also have Martin Svensson and Sara Brolin to help us to answer some of the questions. And if you have questions during the presentation, you're welcome to ask them in the chat and we will answer them afterwards. Or you can ask your questions yourself in the Q&A session. The questions can be both in Swedish or English, what you prefer. So our aim for the Energy Agency is to accelerate the energy transition through innovation. And these are the people who work in the Sustainable Business Development Unit at the Energy Agency. And we are the ones who work specifically with the verify the innovation with the customer call, which we will tell you more about soon. This slide shows the so-called Death Valley curve, which describes the period in the life of a startup in which it has begun operations, but has not yet generated revenue. During this period, companies deplete their initial capital in their quest to establish the business. And here is where it's possible to apply for support from the Energy Agency to help bridge these valleys and increase the chance of the innovation to reach the market. For example, our call concept development is for early stage projects, and our calls verification with the customer and pilot and demo can provide help to move on to the expansion phase. And in this presentation, we will focus on the verification call, but Ida will now tell you briefly about all three of them.
Thank you, Sarah. The first call is concept development, and it's aimed for those in the early stage of develop concept. It's open for companies, universities, and research institutes that have a business idea in the energy sector that they want to develop further. The concept should eventually result in a new product, service, or business model with the potential for market introduction. Some examples of activities that can be supported are evaluate the energy relevance of the concept and clarify commercial potential. You can apply for 100% support in this call, but maximum 500,000 Swedish crowns. And this call will plan on open in December this year. Then we have our second call, pilot and demonstration. This call is aimed for companies that are closer to large-scale market introduction. An important step toward commercialization of products or services is to test and demonstrate the solution where it will be used. This call gives aid for pilot and demonstration projects aimed at the energy and climate transition. This call does not have a maximum limit, but a minimum limit, where project cost is a minimum of 7 million Swedish crowns. And this call also plans to open in December this year. Then we have verified innovation with the customer that we will focus on today. And the call verified innovation with the customer is aimed for small and medium-sized enterprises. The project must have the goal of bringing the product closer to and preparing it for commercial phase. Support can be given for targeted activities that contributes to further development and verification of the innovation together with a customer. The project must also include business development efforts. Maximum aid for this call is 3 million Swedish crowns. The applicant must co-fund the project. The percentage of our aid is a maximum of 45% of the project cost, which means that the applicant must co-fund 55% of the project cost. The aid percentage depends on the size of the company. When submitting the application, the applicant must have a clear and detailed plan on how they will co-fund their share of the project cost. You can read more about this in our call text. This call opened on the 6th of September and will close on the 6th of November.
In order to apply for funding under the different calls, the innovation must have reached certain stages of development. We have used these readiness levels to describe the innovation's development stage. In the concept development call, the innovation's development phase needs to be between readiness levels 2 and 4. And in the verification call, the innovation needs to be between level 4 and 8. And in the pilot and demo call, it's between level 5 and 8. And you can read more about these levels in our call text. And from here, we will focus on the call for verification with the customer, which now is currently open. When we look at applications, there are a number of criteria used for the assessment, and it's the same criteria used in all calls. Today we will focus on the energy potential and the team network. With energy potential, we want you to describe how the innovation contributes to the transformation of the energy system. And this can be done through, for example, improving energy efficiency, enabling flexibility, or increased access of fossil-free energy. We take a positive view if there's a climate benefit in the project, but it has to be an energy relevance if the project in the project for us to be able to approve the application. Under the team criteria, we want you to describe your team and network so that we can evaluate if all relevant competence is in place for the project and for the business development. A very important part is the customer's engagement in the project and that it's reflected in the work packages. On our website, you can find more guiding questions and information about all the criteria, and there's also examples of answers and explanations. We will explain more about all the criteria in our information meetings on the 27th of September and the 26th of October. And here are some examples of activities that we can support. Testing and development of the innovation, we can support up to 45% of the costs. And that includes further development of the innovation and verification together with the customer. It can be development, the manufacturing and installation of a prototype at the customer's site. And it can also include improved or updated calculations of the energy relevance of the innovation. Here are some examples of activities we can support for the applicant. Business development activities and preparation for the commercial phase. Here we have the opportunity to support up to 100% of the costs. And it can include activities like work with the business plan, financing plan, preparation of investor memorandum, and market strategy. It can also include activities like preparation for internationalization and also development of the innovation that includes applying sex and gender perspectives to relevant parts of the project. Here are the statistics for the verification call last year. We had 2 calls with a total of 50 applications, of which we could grant 25 of them. And we distributed about 55 million Swedish crowns in aid. And so far, if an application has met our criteria and has a committed customer, we have been able to grant aid.
So why should you become a customer in a project like this? It's a unique opportunity to try a new solution, but with a reduced financial risk. The call can provide an opportunity for customers to try out innovation at an earlier stage than they might otherwise have been able to do. It's also an opportunity to influence and help develop an appealing solution together with the applicant for a good solution, both for you, but also for a future sustainable energy system. The call contributes to more structured and evaluated projects. Everything from budget, work packages, objectives, and deliveries is something that needs to be ready at the time of application, and something that you as a customer have an opportunity to discuss with the applicant. Progress reports are made on an ongoing basis, and final reports on how the project has gone opens up for the customer and applicant to evaluate the project together. The purpose of an involved customer in this call is to ensure that the innovation has business potential to reach large-scale market introduction and has a market interest from potential customers. The customer involved in the project does not have to be the end user, but can be the next step in the value chain. The customer can also receive support from the Swedish Energy Agency under the same co-funding requirements as the applicant. A customer can be anything from an SME, small, medium, and large enterprises, research institutes, and universities. They can be project partners and aid receivers, but only under the same conditions as companies. Maximum 45% aid for the development phase in the project. If you don't feel included in our definition of a customer, you are welcome to discuss it with us later on. The project can take place in Sweden or abroad with a Swedish or foreign customer. We cannot provide aid to customers who don't have operation in Sweden, but they can participate in the project as a project part. So if you are a foreign company with some operation in Sweden, you can most likely receive aid from us. Here you can see our call webpage. All the information you need to submit an application can be found here. In the margin, you will find anything from the call text, mandatory documents, manuals, checklists, examples of descriptions, and certificates. A new element for this round is that applicants can book a meeting with one of the administrators for the call. Meeting will be held about 2 weeks before the closing date, and is aimed to ensure that you as an applicant have everything in place for the application. In order to have a meeting with us, the customer needs to participate. The meeting are maximum 15 minutes, and we will provide more information on how you book a meeting at our information meeting on the 27th of September. So some important dates. We have 2 digital information meetings. The first is on the 27th of September, and the second is on the 26th of October. The same information will be discussed at both meetings. The application deadline is on the 6th of November. We are planning to take decisions in December to February. The project start can begin in March 2024, and as latest the 1st of August 2024. And the project time is a maximum of 24 months. And with that, we will open up for some questions. So how does it look in the chat?
Thank you so much, Ida. We had a question about this, if the information on your website is available in English, but I think we managed to answer that as well. Do you have any questions to the Energy Agency? Yeah, the presentations will be shared and also the recordings. A question from Johannes at the Mobility 46. That will be done. And I will also tell you more about the support that we do from Ignite side together with the Energy Agency after the next presentation. But I think it's important what you said there, that if you have a paying customer, the customer that would like to contribute with funding into this project, you have been so far managed to provide funding for all applicants or applications with that included. And that's what we are aiming for at Ignite as well, to make sure that there is a paying customer that could help the startups to do a pilot or in interesting projects together. So I think it's interesting. But what I have for a question is, I mean, when you talk about aid that could go to the customer, what kind of, funding could they receive in this end? I mean, I guess there's 2 different things. You can get an extended budget for the project, even if you not have operations in Sweden. But what type of aid can you get if you have operations in Sweden as a customer?
You can get
I can go to that picture so we can show you. We discussed it a little earlier on.
So it's the same financial aid as the applicant, but aid it differs depending on size of the company. So if you're a small company, you can apply up to 45% of the costs, medium 35%, and the large companies can apply for 25% of their costs. So it's the same same for the customer as for the applicant, that it's the size of the company that will decide what kind of support you can get.
And here are some examples of activities that we support both to the applicant and the customer.
Mhm.
And as you said, the customer can only receive maximum 45% support for the developing activities in the project. So the next part here is for the applicant, and they can search for 100% support for activities like business development and so on.
And you don't have a lower limit how much money you need to apply for. You can apply for less than 3 million crowns as well, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. 3 million crowns is a maximum limit. Together, the applicant and the customer cannot apply for more than 3 million crowns. But if you have a smaller project and applying for 1.5 million, that's absolutely fine too.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions? We've got a question.
Använder den här URLen för att skicka ut på Facebook.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Johannes, we hear some background
Yeah.
noise as well.
Yeah, sorry about that. I'll be quick. My first question is if you can combine the business development aid with the larger one, the testing and development. And my second question is if you can give again some more information about the maturity of the product, where it makes sense if you're very early compared to maybe a little bit later in the stage. I think that was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's for your first question, absolutely. We want you to combine the business development parts of the project with the testing valuation part. So that's absolutely that should be combined in this 3 million that you can apply for in the project. So yes, on the first one, and the second question about the readiness levels, it's I think we have quite good ones on our website that describes, because we have tried to be more open also with the terminology. What is like technology validation in laboratory is very then you're thinking about some technical product, but it doesn't have to be a technical product in that way. It can be like a beta version of an app for the mobile or something like that. So it's hard to say it really what the levels include, but in the application you can describe if you don't feel like your innovation suits in this kind of explanations, you can describe in your application so that we can understand what level you should belong to, or what to say. Yeah, but we have quite good explanations, right, Ida, at our website, how.
Yes, you can read more about it on our web page.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have some questions in the chat as well. Robert asked, does it matter if the end consumer customer is private or public?
Yes. Yes and no. If the end customer is public, the important part is that the co-financing of the project cannot be public money. Then it has to be like private money that co-founds or public money. But if the end user is like a commune or something like that, that's that's fine, right?
Great.
What?
Then we had a question also about, I think Sara answered it in the chat, but how about applications that are already been submitted? Do they follow the same dates from Pedram Soltani? And Sara, you answered in the chat that applicants that have been applications that have been submitted to earlier calls follow the dates in the specific call.
Exactly. Like this verification call, it opens about 3 times a year. So every call follows its own opening closing dates.
Great. Any other questions? No, so thank you so much, Sara and Ida, for your presentation. And now I would like to hand over to Fredrik that will reveal a project that's ongoing that have received funding from just the Swedish Energy Agency verification or verify your innovation with the customer. So please, Fredrik, well, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Linus. My name is Fredrik van Heinen. I'm the CEO of Neue, and we're an IoT company. So I will share a little bit of presentation of what we're doing and also about their customer project that we're running that is financed by the Swedish Energy Agency. So let me see if I can just share my screen here also.
And now we see, oh, it's perfect.
Perfect. Okay. So Neue, well, what are we doing? So we are a startup company, started in 2020, and we're based here in Sweden, but we have people working both in Germany, Poland, and in the US. And basically what we are doing is trying to make it easier to build connected products, to go from a prototype to an industry, well, a ready solution that you can scale up internationally. And sort of our motto is that any object can be turned into a connected and intelligent device. And I will not go into all of the things that we are doing, but I will focus a little bit more on exactly what we're doing in this project here. But we have a solution which is based on both connected hardware, which is very extremely flexible, that you can basically connect any kind of sensors to it. It already has lots of sensors in it. And it has all the different connectivity options that you can imagine. And then we have developed a no-code software solution, which can reprogram device very rapidly without any sort of technical skills required. And then we also have these sort of connectivity partners, everything from Bluetooth, Wi-Fi to 5G and satellite communication. So it can really connect anywhere in the world. And based on this, we can really go to try out your sort of connectivity or digitalization ideas and try them out in the field and then rapidly adjust the solution without having to spend a lot of money on investing in custom builds or things like that. And then you can use the same things that you have been working on for your prototype to scale up into the real product, so you don't have to throw anything away. And so what we've been working on in this project is together with a customer to digitalize their food transportation units. And the whole idea here is basically so you have these big units that you move food in, and when they are arrive at their destination, they are plugged in, and then they consume a lot of energy to sort of keep the food warm. This also goes to keep things cold, of course. It's also used within for medical equipment and so on to keep medicines and things like that cooled. So the whole idea here is really to start collecting a lot of sensor data from this, and also to be able to control these units. So you can actually look at having new business models, not just to sell these units, but perhaps to rent them and things like that and sell them as a service instead. Also, one of the key goals we have here is really to looking into how can we reduce the energy usage of these devices. I'll go into this more in detail, what we're looking at here. But also the other things is things like minimizing food waste or have sort of preventative maintenance or detect if things are spilled inside these units. So if you look at these kind of things, basically everything is fed through our sensors that are connected in the units, and these are both internal temperature sensors to keep track of the temperature of the food. It's external temperature sensors to keep track of the environment, humidity, location, how it has been moving, where it is currently located, and so on. And looking at these cooling and heating units, if there's fan noise or if there's vibrations that have started that could indicate that it needs to be serviced, or if it has been moving around on a truck and then the truck has braked heavily or something like that, and there's risk that all the food inside has been spilled out or something like that. So these kind of things. And then what we have also added onto our devices here is the ability to measure the power usage. So these are not just transporting food and keeping them warm or cold, but also heating them up or using a lot of power for this. So that's another sensor that we've added into this, and also control options, so we can actually remotely enable power or disable it and so on. So all of these things together is what we're aiming to do in the product, to measure all these kind of things and then be able to react on it, and to be able to make it that it uses much less power than it currently is, and that we can also minimize the amount of food that could go to waste because of that the temperature has dropped, for example, below a certain temperature, or that food has been wasted in other circumstances. What we're doing here is basically using our hardware, connecting it to these food transportation units, sending data to our cloud service, and then adding on data visualizations and device management. And all of this is, so we're working with one customer here, and they are the manufacturer of these food transportation units. And then we are testing this at their end customers, which in this case is going to be hospitals that we are trying this out with. But they, of course, they are selling their equipment to many different customers, both in Sweden and Europe and so on. So what we're looking at here is also, of course, then different kinds of dashboard to look at temperatures and so on, and learn a lot of things. So during this proof of concept, a lot of things that we are aiming to do is, of course, not just for us, but also for the customer to learn what data is valuable, how can they sell this on to their customers, what is the best value proposition, what are the sort of key things that we should push towards additional customers in the future, and how should we move this into the international market. Some of the key things that we are measuring, of course, and some of the key goals we have here is, of course, to reduce the amount of energy. And we've done some studies before this where it is believed then that the energy usage could be decreased with up to 85%. And these units are using a lot of power, and there's quite a lot of these units being used in Europe. So the amount of energy consumption that we could decrease is quite large. So of course, for us, all of this is goals that we have to build a more sustainable future in many different projects. So we really believe that this solution is something that could help moving to reduce emissions and an increased energy effectiveness in these kind of units. And also that we can help them to support new sustainable business models, which of course then that they can rent out the same unit to many different customers, and that you can have a longer life when you can faster detect if something is problematic, or if you have a problem with the fan units and so on. So all of these things is moving towards that goal. So if we look at what we're doing together here with the public funding we're getting from the Swedish Energy Agency. So our experience from this is really a positive one, I would say. I felt that the application process, we've been part of other kind of public funding before, but I felt it was quite easy and it was straightforward to fill out all the information. We also got support, of course, from the Swedish Energy Agency in if we had some questions and so on. Something to note, I think, is that at least this was something that we didn't think about beginning, and that we didn't really think about applying for this before, but it's not only for things that have a sort of direct renewable solar power cells or something like that, but also things that could have effects on the amount of energy that we're using in different types of energies and industries and so on. So that's something to think about, that it is for much broader application areas than you might normally think about. Also, another thing is here, of course, is that a very positive thing is that it also supports different business development efforts. It's not just about the product development that you're doing, but also about how you can build on your business moving forward. And also here, as normally, and as was said before by Ida and Sara and so on, that it's only 45% funded in your development efforts. So you need to have a customer financing for the other parts, or have your own financing for it. But for these business development efforts, it's actually 100% funded, which is really good, because that really helps you be able to do things like look at how could we approach an international market, how could we get investors to put money into the company so we can grow faster, how can we do different types of IP protection or type approvals, and so there are many things around, and when you are building a new product, that you need to invest in. And so I think it's really good that there is a mix here, that you can get both half funding, so to say, for the development efforts, but you can also get 100% funding for some of these business development efforts that you need to do to really be successful. Also, another thing I think that we felt was really important was that you really need to have a customer that is really interested in what you're doing, and that they are ready to put some money on the table, so to speak, to invest in this proof of concept together with you. I think that's key to be successful, and also, of course, to have a good application here. So having someone that really believes in what you're doing together, and that are interested in developing this together with you, I think that's a key thing here. Also, I think you should have really a clear goal and what your desired outcome of the project would be. So you can look at all the different aspects, and you can have a plan, and not just for the proof of concept, but also for bringing the product to the market, and how you could make it available for a broad international audience. So you should really look at this as a way to speed up your time to market, but also to be able to verify and adjust your business model. I think that was what I had to say, but if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Fredrik. Very good presentation. And I mean, what did it mean for you to have this additional funding to your project? I guess maybe the project would be carried out anyway without the money, or what did it mean for you to have this additional funding? What did you do for that?
Well, I think that's a really good point, actually. I mean, we of course, we had a customer, they wanted to do a project, but with the amount of budget that they had, it would just be a very small test case, basically, and couldn't really move forward that much from that. And we saw that the timeline would be quite long before we actually had some kind of product from this. So getting this funding really helps us expand this whole scope of the project, not just for us, but also, of course, for the customer. So they are, of course, very happy that they can get a lot more for the same amount of money that they are investing. And also that they, of course, then can help try it out and be part of building that solution together with us. But for us, of course, it's just we don't only we can. It's not that we just can do the first step, but now we can do the second and third step also. So this really opens up quite a lot for us in terms of getting the product to the market.
That's awesome. Thank you. Do you have any questions from the audience? Fredrik?
I don't know if there were any on the chat or something like that, but
no, not. I think it was crystal clear, and I think this is a perfect example of how to actually utilize public funding, and also how to actually get an increased budget for doing more. And just what you say, I think is really important as well, that it isn't that complicated to actually apply. And I think that's a hurdle for many to get into these processes and actually start formulating a project, and then also the application and so on. So I think that's a good message as well to give here, that it isn't that complicated.
No, I know for a lot of larger EU funding projects and so on, and sometimes even for Vinnova projects, the hurdle of doing the application, because that takes a lot of time, and it takes time away from your product development or sales as a startup company. So if it's only a 10 or 15% chance to get co-funding in a project, and it's only 50% funded anyway, then it's always it's going to be a consideration there. Is it worth spending the money on that, or should I just go after the customers myself and try to do it ourselves? But I believe really that if you have a customer that are ready to invest at least some money but are interested in a bigger solution, but maybe they don't have the money to put all of that on the table from the start, then I think this is really an excellent way to move forward.
Yeah, agree. And with 50% of the applications approved in the end last year, I think it's a good opportunity as well to receive funding in the end.
Definitely.
Thank you so much, Fredrik. If no one had any more questions. Oh, not really. So then we will continue with the last part of the webinar. Thank you, Fredrik, once again. Let me share the slide again here. So now to the final part, where we're going to just discuss a little bit how we, from Ignite side, could support in this process going ahead. As Ida and Sarah presented, we have an open call at the moment that will close in early November. We have also then known that the next call will open and close in February. The exact date in February isn't set yet, but will be communicated later on. So from our side in this project, we have designed two different tracks. Where track 1 is where we are heading towards the closing date in November, where we will have it. I know some of you will have meetings tomorrow during our matchmaking event. That will be one part of our process where we utilize the fact that we actually are doing these matchmakings a couple of times per year. So tomorrow will be one occasion where we have talked with the need owners before the matchmaking about this opportunity, but also trying to talk with you as a startup that got selected for the matchmaking, if this could be something that could be relevant for you. So tomorrow we will have meetings, but also then after that, we will have, for the ones that would like to have support from us, we will try to have a facilitation of the follow-up meetings. We could also offer coaching when it comes to the product formulation, both for the startups and for the customer. We have some legal templates that we could share with letter of intent, for example, but also NDA. We could also be the point of contact for any questions regarding the application that we then could channel to the Energy Agency and then come back with an answer. We also have the information meetings from the Energy Agency that are open to attend as well. And then we will arrange this one-to-one meeting with the Energy Agency as well. We have our own session that we then can invite you to attend, and that will be the 25th of October for your own meeting with the agency to ask questions about the application. And that's more the formalia of the application, not the actual product ID or product itself. So this will be one track. The other track will be that we will arrange matchmaking in Stockholm, November 28th. And it's a sustained tech matchmaking that we will have. And for that matchmaking, it will be a kind of a different process what we are usually doing at Ignite. We have an interest form that startups can submit their interest to attend this event. We have that open on 1 more week from now. In that form, you can describe what type of collaboration you're looking for and what type of project that will be relevant for you to find a potential customer for. And we will utilize that information to onboard big corporates, but also the public sector, to see if they would like to meet you during the event in November. But after that, it will be the same support as we do in track 1, with some facilitation. We have some business coaches that can help out, and so on. And that will be for the February closing date. And participation in the matchmaking isn't mandatory to get support. Some of you startups could already have a customer identified, or the opposite way around. If you are a corporate, maybe have already a startup that you're working with, that you have initial dialogue with, then you can also apply to get the support from us. What you need is that you have a confirmed interest from the customer. That you have like an understanding of that you want to proceed with formulating an application. And the startup needs to be Swedish. So what we do from our side to sign up, or first of all, I will tell you a little more about this Sustain Tech. As I said, we had an information form, or interest form that you can fill in. You can go into our webpage where you can find this event. You can also then find the application form for the startups that would like to attend in Stockholm, and then we will reach out to you in end of October probably with if we have a match for you or not. So to sign up for this, I mean, just contact me and I will send you just a short form that you can just explain who you are, who the customer is, and also your brief idea about the project that you would like to hire to apply funding for, but also the selection of track. You can already now come to us and say, yeah, we are not managing to apply for funding for the closing date in November, but we would like to do this in February. And it's already good for us to know that already now, and then we can have contact with you and set up a good plan for how we can support you in that process. And also, if you have some desired support that you would like to receive, you can also add that in the form. But if you're interested, you sign up, and we will reach out to all the corporates, but also the relevant startups that have meetings tomorrow, and see how the meeting went, and if it's relevant to then join like this program for applying for funding from the Energy Agency. So that was basically what we have. Do you have any questions? I see it pops up something in the chat. Yes, from Supreme Hydrogen. If you want to apply for the matchmaking, I assume you mean, then you can log into our webpage, Ignite Sweden, and under events, you find this Sustain Tech matchmaking, where you then can apply to be a part of the matchmaking. If you don't find it and any problems, you send me an email and I can send it straight to you. So, any other questions about anything that we have touched upon today? No question? Good, and I guess it's super clear so far. And
could I just add,
yeah.
Linus? I think we missed that part maybe. That you're all very welcome to contact us if you have any further questions. So either on our phone numbers or the emails. And they're also found on the website and in the presentation that you will get afterwards. Just contact us if you have any questions.
Perfect. And I get one more feedback as well now from my colleague that the event on the 28th of September or November is not visible on our webpage. Just send me an email and I will send you the interest form to the matchmaking in November. So it can also be some additional information there. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and hope you have a great afternoon. And let us know if you have any further questions. And good luck for you startups that will have meetings tomorrow.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.